How to ride a motorcycle. I mean, there's dozens of videos online. I kind of wanted to give my perspective because there's a few things in all of the videos that I've watched that people have kind of either missed or didn't focus on enough. I mean, there's always the basics, but there's a few tips that I'd like to kind of give out to newer riders, or even, you know, seasoned riders that never thought of it. So, in just a few minutes, once I get to the other side of town, to the next parking lot, hopefully there's not a cop in it, we can begin. The first thing that you should definitely do is buy some gear. Go to a dealer, try stuff on, see what fits you, because it doesn't all fit like a regular jacket and it doesn't all fit like regular boots and gloves. Motorcycle gear varies between companies, sizes, and weight. So I definitely recommend first going in and trying stuff on before you buy anything. And then there's always the argument of what kind of motorcycle do you buy? And the answer to that is it depends. It depends on what you want. This lot sucks. Depends on what you want. If you're pretty comfortable, or if you've ridden before, then getting a 600cc bike as far as a street bike or sport bike is concerned might not be a problem. If you have no knowledge or whatsoever about riding, or you're not comfortable or you're afraid, then go with a 250. Personally, I started out on a 600cc CBR F4i, and I had already taken the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. I don't know what it is in the UK or other countries, but at least in the Northeast US, it's Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. It costs like $250, gives you a discount on your insurance. Definitely well worth it. I recommend it. And they start you out on small little 250cc bikes. Damn, it's hot out today. It's like 95 degrees out. They start you out on small cc bikes. And even after completing that course, I was still a little nervous on the 600. I stalled it a whole bunch of times when I was first learning it, because the RPM ranges between the 250 and the 600cc vary quite a bit. So it takes some getting used to. Kind of like every other bike. I mean, getting used to this from my R1 and CBR was a bit a lot different, I should say. So it all depends on your comfortability. But there'll be some people that say never start on a 600cc, you'll die. I would very strongly urge you never to learn on somebody else's bike unless you're 100% confident that they won't get pissed at you when you drop it, because you will inevitably drop the bike. Whichever bike you first get, you'll drop it. But definitely understand where your comfortability is. I was comfortable enough that I could jump on the 600cc, and after about a half an hour I could ride it around town after learning the safety foundation. It was just getting out of first gear is the toughest, or getting into first gear, I should say, is the toughest. Once you're into first gear, changing gears is just a matter of preference, really. You don't want to grind the gear, but you don't want to wind it up past the red line either. But anywhere in between there, the bike can handle, and you can ride it. You know, I ride it anywhere between 6,000 to 9,000, and that's comfortable to me. It gives the right tone for the bike, and it sounds good. But that being said, Definitely take the course, definitely get some gear. I recommend getting your own helmet before you take the safety course, because I'm not a fan of using somebody else's dirty, dingy helmet. It kind of reminds me of going bowling and wearing somebody else's shoes. So yeah, 250 or 600cc, never ever ever start out on a 1000 or an expensive brand new bike. Do not buy a brand new bike. Do not buy a brand new bike. That will be the biggest mistake you could ever do, because if you drop it, you will cry. I mean, unless you're a millionaire, then, you know, buy whatever you want. I mean, you can go on YouTube and Google, or you can go on Google or YouTube and look up the guy who just bought his brand, I believe it's a brand new Harley, gets it out of the parking lot and crashes it literally 20 feet from it. So yeah, that being said, this is a Kawasaki ZX-10R 2007. It has a few mods that I've done to it, the bar ends, the small, you know, sock here, double bubble windshield, which I didn't think was going to make too much of a difference, but it makes an incredible difference on the highway. I got a pair of Akrapovics exhaust cans. They're just slip-ons. Other than that, the bike's pretty much stock. The Akrapovics I got off of a salvage for about $400 on a tank pad. So yeah, there's that. So, how to ride a motorcycle? Well, I guess you gotta learn the controls first. This will be your throttle, right handlebar. Right lever is gonna be your front brake. Left handlebar does nothing, it is simply there to hold on to. Left lever is your clutch. Right here, you're going to have the directionals. Horn, you don't need to worry about this. This won't be on a lot of bikes. This is for racing and things like that. High beam and low beam. Kawasaki and Honda are kind of dicks with their light system. When you, on my CBR and on this bike, when you are riding without the high beam on, one of the lights is out, and you will constantly hear people tell you that you have a headlight out. It's not out. Your high beam is the other light. This is your kill switch. I pretty much just use it to shut the bike off and then turn the key. There's disputes on whether or not that hurts the bike. It doesn't. At least in my preference, I've been riding for 7 years and it's never once done anything concerning. This right here, this right here is going to be the ignition. Again, you don't have to worry about this. Most bikes won't have this. This is also, I forget what I was saying. Obviously, left and right mirrors. Left hand lever on the foot peg is going to be your clutch. Right foot peg is going to be the rear brake. Once you've got all of that, and if you don't have all of that completely mastered, don't even turn the bike on. Once you've got that, you can go ahead and start the bike up. Either start it in neutral, or make sure the bike is in first gear. If you're starting the bike in first gear, the kickstand has to be up. On most bikes, most newer bikes, the kickstand has to be up, and you have to hold the clutch in when you start it. Otherwise, you'll stall the bike out immediately. From there, you turn the key. I generally just leave the bike in first gear because it locks the rear tire so that it can't go backwards. Lift the kickstand, turn the kill switch off, pull the clutch, start the bike. Now, once you've got it started, I've got it in neutral now. Once you have it started, let the bike warm up. I always let the temperature gauge come up first. That way you know the bike's warm and it's not going to die out on you. There's also some debate on whether or not that hurts the bike. I don't think it hurts the bike, but I have always left it to run anyway. These kids are all going to watch now. So, how do you move the bike? Well, pretty simple. First, you're going to have to put the bike in gear. So you hold the clutch in, step on the gear shifter down once for first gear. That puts it into gear. Any gear after that, you click upwards. Depending on how many gears you have, will depend on how many times you have to click upwards. Neutral is always in between first and second, so you have to click down to first. Usually it's easier if you just click all the way down to first and then do a half click up to neutral. That'll put you into neutral, like so. Some bikes it's harder than others. Newer bikes tend to be easier to put into neutral. I'm not quite sure why. I think it's just the wear of the gears. But yeah, there's that. Once you get the bike warmed up and the RPMs are steady, this is one of the tricks that I've told a couple people that I know that have first started riding, how to actually move the bike without stalling it and without launching into space. So the bike will never move regardless of what you do from a stop if you hold the clutch in. You can give it all the throttle in the world and it's not going to matter. The only thing that matters is when you slowly let that clutch out and it engages. So for instance, I don't know if you can see this, but I'll try and do it from both angles. So no throttle, clutch all the way disengaged. You slowly engage the clutch and the bike will start to roll forward. Do that a bunch of times until you get comfortable with it, and then slowly give it gas and let the clutch out to that same point, and it will start to move. From there, once you get comfortable enough with that, the trick is that you can roll the throttle as much as you want, and it's only going to move as much as you engage the clutch. So, for instance, that will move the bike just as much as that. Once you've got that handled, then you can actually start moving. Getting the bike out of first gear is probably one of the hardest things for new riders to master, because it's all timing. The timing of the clutch engaging to the amount of throttle that you give is going to be the key to getting the bike moving. Once you're moving, the bike is really easy to switch gears. You can just pop it up as you feel, basically. Like I said, with a few rules. You don't want to be too low in the RPMs, especially in a corner. And you don't want to be too high. You don't want to be, this rev line's at 13. You don't want to be at 13 when you're changing gears unless you're racing or you're good at what you're doing. Next, what you'll end up doing. Now you'll learn all of this in the motorcycle safety course also. They'll teach you how to do start stops, first gear to second gear, rolling, braking on a stop, figure eights in a box, all that kind of stuff. And if you take the safety course, you also don't have to take, at least in Massachusetts, you don't have to take the license exam. That is your license exam, completing the course. So it makes it worth it in the end. You get the discount and you get your license, all for one shot. Now once you actually get moving, what you'll want to do is notice that this bike will start moving at about 1500 as long as you release the clutch and you give it throttle. And depending on how fast you're going will dictate and how wide your turn is. You don't want to be going too slow when you bank corners. Otherwise you can either tip it over or you'll bank too wide. So the one thing that other people also constantly forget is braking in tandem. You want to use your front brake and your rear brake as much as possible, except around corners. You never ever touch your front brake. If you do that, you will go down. If you're not sure why, Google how motorcycles and bicycles and two-wheeled vehicles move and operate. It's gyroscopic. So you're using gravity versus the bike versus momentum and all that stuff. If you want to know how that is, check out another video. I'm not really going to go over that. Once you get out of first gear and into second gear, it's basically cake. Turning, you're going to do one of two things. Different people use different methods of turning. Say you're going around a left corner. What you want to do, at least on a sport bike, is dig your knees into the gas tank. And then from there, if you're taking a left corner, arc your left leg outside of the corner, lean your head to the left-hand side, looking past the mirror, and tilt the bike over. tilting the bike, you can do one of two ways. You can either physically press down on the handlebar, which will lean the bike left, or you can turn the handlebars, and I don't mean like this, I just mean ever so slightly turn the handlebars to the right. That will dip the bike to the left. It sounds a little complicated, but it's really easy, and whichever method you choose is going to produce the exact same result, so it doesn't matter whichever one you do. You can either push the handlebars towards the right to take a left, and vice versa, or you can press in the direction that you want to go. I switch it up because I'm so used to it now, it doesn't really matter to me. I can do either. Like I said before, that trick with holding the clutch in and giving it throttle is really comforting to new riders, because it reduces the amount of risk that you have when you're going to be starting. That way you won't panic and roll the throttle into like a tree, and you won't stall the bike out either. So that's two of the most common problems with newbies. Too much throttle, oops, and or not enough throttle, and too early engaging the clutch. So like I said, let me slow down here, and I'll drop it back into first, and I'll show you how easy it is to get out of first. So I'm going at 19 miles an hour. If you want to switch out of first gear, you just give it as much gas as you want. Right now I'm doing 30 miles an hour at about 3,500 RPMs. Other bikes will vary depending on their cc's, weight, all that kind of stuff. And then all you do is you just really quickly cut the gas, click the throttle so that it disengages the rear wheel, and then click up on the gear shifter all at once. You can do it slow. You can pull the clutch in, release the gas or the throttle, and then click up. It doesn't really matter. You can do it however you choose. So I'll do it all in one motion, and then once you shift, you give it throttle again. You keep going, and you practice that so you get smoother and smoother. That way it doesn't feel like you're getting jerked around like in a car when somebody's just learning how to drive stick. So like all at once, you just, and then you're done. That's second gear. Now the other way you can do it, if you're not as comfortable when you're first learning, is just to pull in the clutch, let the gas out, click up, and then give it gas again. And you'll be riding. That's third gear. And all the gears are just like that. Just a minute, I'll slow down around this corner, or on the next corner rather, because there'll be some train tracks coming. And then downshifting is the exact same premise. Let off the gas, pull the clutch in, click down, put the gas back on. You always want to do this before you corner though, that way you have plenty of RPMs to play with. If you have to downshift before the corner and then ride through the corner. So say for instance I'm cornering, and there you go. I'm down to second gear, I got plenty of RPMs to work with around the corner, and no wide turns. I can probably separate the videos so that I can do an entire video on cornering if people want that. I can certainly do that. Or if anybody has any questions about anything that I covered, or if you want more elaboration or anything like that, please feel free to ask. Either send me a message or write in the comments. I'll check them out, and I'll try to help you out as best I can. Again, anybody can ride. It's all it is a matter of patience and your willingness to learn. It's similar to a car. I mean, the only difference is instead of using your hand to change gears, you're using your foot. It's basically the same premise. You're using one foot to press the clutch in a car. On here, you're using your hand to engage and disengage the clutch. In a car, you're using your hand to change the gear, and on a bike, you're using your foot to change the gear. It's just reversed, and it's all on the left side. So the left side is completely for changing gears. The right side is completely for braking. Always got to watch your balls on these things too. Can't even count how many times I've crushed them on bumps. But again, yeah, if you like the video, if you want more, If you have questions, feel free to let me know. Please subscribe, comment, share, like, all that jazz.